Well, good morning, all. Welcome. I guess it might be afternoon, might be lunchtime for some, might be morning for those of you on the West Coast or Mountain Standard Time. But welcome to your live leadership and lunch and learn workshop in Houston, Texas today. We're working on several things about management skills, but I want to spend a few minutes talking to you about your roles as a leader. I think it's key, it's important, it's critical that you grab hold of the role that you are as a leader and live those roles. We talked about that a couple times over this 2-day workshop. This morning, we talked about the role of your leader as a leader when it comes to your ability to delegate, what you should be delegating, what you shouldn't be delegating. Talk about your role as a leader when it comes to you understanding the simple fact that you must develop your people and you must be a great leader of people. So, in order for that to happen, there's 8 distinct roles. I want to share those 8 roles with you so that you're able to see what they are, get a good definition for them, understand how they fit into your job, okay, what that means for them to fit in your job. And number 3, how that can help you become successful as a manager, as a leader. So, roles as a leader. Number 1, and the most important job you have as a leader is that number 1 role. And that's to have the ability to develop your people. You've got to get in the habit of developing your people. That's your number 1 job. Now, oftentimes it comes up in the classroom. No, my number 1 job is to do my paperwork, or my number 1 job is to produce our product, or to have great customer service. I'm sorry, if you're a leader, that is not your number 1 job. That's your people's job. Your job is to develop them, to get them better at their jobs. So, yeah, if you have any questions about that or any concerns, go ahead and put that in the chat box. We'll be happy to address those. Even if you're sending it on the replay, I will get back to you and we can address that issue. Remember, though, it's your job to develop people. The better you develop people, the better your team will be. So the idea here is to create a dream team. And how can you create a dream team if you don't let your people get better? If you don't understand your role to make them better? If you don't understand them, if you don't understand who they are, how can you get better? How can you develop that dream team? The only way you can do that is to be a developer of people and understand the people on your team and help them get better. Number 2, you got to be a great communicator. You have to be able to communicate with your team and understand that there's different communication styles and be able to walk back and forth into them. You have to understand one concept we just got through talking about here in the classroom today. 7% of your communication comes from the words you use. 38% of your communication comes from your tone of voice, while 55% of your communication comes from your body language. Now, granted, that is an old set of research. It was done in 1961. So we're talking about over 50 years ago. You must become aware of your communication style so you can match other people's style. See, it's not about people understanding you, it's about you understanding them. Stephen Covey has his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm going to suggest that you get that book and read that book if you don't already have it. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Here's why I'm going to suggest that. Habit number 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. When it comes to becoming a great communicator, when you seek first to understand, it'll be 10 times easier for you to get your point across. When you seek first to understand, your communication becomes easier. It becomes a little bit deeper too. A great communicator enters that other person's world. They don't try to force that person to come into the world and understand how they put it. It's your job as a great communicator to enter that other person's world. Once you enter that other person's world, you can get your point across, but seek first to understand, then to be understood. That's your role as a leader. That was number 2. Number 3, you have to understand you're a coach. You're a coach that pulls the different parts of your team together, different priorities, and puts them all down the same track at the same place. You have this coach that does that, you have this, you have this, you have all these different things taking place, but your job as a coach of the team, as a leader of the team, is to pull everything together, make sure it's going down the right track. Your distribution department, your marketing department, your sales department, your production department, your warehouse. If you're the leader, each one of those departments, you must make sure they all come together and go down the path of delivering great customer service and creating a great amount of profit for your company. That's your role, to be a great coach. We're going to skip a couple roles and just jump down to the role of being an expediter. Okay? As a leader, you must find ways to allow your team to do the job faster. You must find ways to help your team do the job faster. A couple of things you can do. You can follow the morning ritual. You walk around every single morning and say good morning to the people who are your direct reports. You say good morning to them and you listen to them, how they respond back. You can find problems early and you can talk with them about these problems. If someone is normally up and bubbly and they say good morning, but this morning they're down, well, that's a potential chance for a problem. If you're an expediter so they can find ways to do the job easier, you got to go back and have that conversation with that person so they can be heard, and that'll help you find ways to make the job easier for the people. Okay. The other thing you can do is pay attention. Look for the positives, but pay attention all the way around you. Once you start that process, you can find things to make the job easier. Ask better questions. Ask better questions. And trust your people to give you better answers. Part of being a great communicator is the idea that you got to get used to and get in the habit of stop talking so much and start listening. Whenever you ask somebody open-ended questions, write this down someplace. Whenever you ask somebody an open-ended question, you pause and you go silent and you don't say anything else until they talk. Okay? You listen, you stay silent. Stop talking so much. Let them give you the answer. So for example, if you say to somebody that you see a problem coming up and say, we have this problem here or it's an issue here, how can we make this work better? You be quiet. You be quiet. No matter how long it feels, it's not as long as it feels. You be quiet. You let that person respond. Let that person respond. That way you can find issues and you can become more adept at getting people those issues resolved. Become an expediter. The next role is to be a facilitator. Your job is to be a facilitator. Finding ways. Now, I said them wrong. I just realized I did them backwards. Expediter means doing the job fast. Facilitator is what we just got to covering. Facilitator to help your people do the job better. Okay. Expediter means helping your people do the job faster, quicker, with greater ease, helping them do the job faster and quicker. So again, same process holds. I just reversed the words around and I apologize. But a facilitator helps them do the job better, while expediter will help them do the job faster. You can do both of these by paying attention, looking for answers. And you're going to find the most powerful answers that you can have for an expediter and a facilitator by simply asking questions and listening. By the way, the questions I'm referring to are not the 5 whys. If you're not careful when you're delivering the 5 why questions, why did this happen? Why did that happen after that? Why did that cause that? Those 5 whys can make your team feel like you're interrogating them. So be careful if you're using the 5 why process. Try to allow your team not to feel like you're trying to interrogate them. But ask questions, and again, be quiet after you ask the question. Use silence to your power. Your next role is to be an advocate. You must be willing to go to bat for your team. Are you willing to go to bat for your team, to help your team get better, to help your team handle all the political stuff that goes on around them? You must be an advocate for your team. Let's back up though. Barrier breakers. You as a barrier breaker, this is your job, to break down the barriers so your team can be better. What's in the way of your team being successful? What is in that way? That's what you got to look at. What's in the way of your team? Okay, it may be something as simple as you're using systems that are out of date. The system that you use to manufacture this has 3 steps too many. What's that system? Maybe it's a physical location. Now, some of you are saying, well, I can't control what building an office works in. Maybe you can, but can you control how the desks lay out on your floor? The physical location. Okay. Shortage of equipment, faulty equipment. Are these barriers in your way from your team being great? And what can you do about it? You can create a plan. Lack of proper tools, lack of supplies. Is the structure of the organization causing a problem? So they have to go through 3 other managers before they get an answer. Do you have enough staff? Is insufficient staff? Are these things that are barriers to your team being successful? You as a leader need to approach this. Now here's the thing. Let's go back to Stephen Covey's book. Habit number 1, you must be proactive. So in other words, if you see one of these as a problem, take action. Take immediately strong action. You're a barrier breaker. Dr. Edward Stimmings, it's one of his 14 points of being a quality manager. Breaking down barriers so your team can be better. The next one, bureaucracy smasher. These two are your roles, and this is something you can jump into right now. As a bureaucracy smasher, you should be able to simply sit back and say what rules, what policies, what procedures, what red tape is in the way of my team being successful. What's in the way? It may also mean that you may need to add a rule, policy, or procedure. If you have a team that is full of folks that are always on their cell phone, you don't have a cell phone policy. Well, first thing you have to understand that just cell phones and not having a policy is costing you productivity, which is costing you money, which is costing you job security. So get in the habit of understanding what a bureaucracy smasher is. That habit is a bureaucracy smasher is looking for policies, procedure, or red tape that's in the way of your team being successful. What red tape is out there where they have to do 5 different motions to get one thing? That is the challenge. So once again, I ask you to take a moment, put your questions in the chat box. I'll be very more than happy to help you answer those. Remind you, my name is Glenn Daniels. I'm with Touchstone Publishers, and we're working on a series called Lunch and Learn for Leaderships. So leadership, lunch and learn. We do our leadership meetings, these lunch and learns, Monday through Friday, and the location that I'm in. So this week I'm in the Texas area, which means our lunch is at Central Time. So you just have to look for the email or for the posting on Facebook or YouTube or on LinkedIn to say lunch and learn at this time. But we always do it at lunch hour based upon where I'm at in the country. And we'll have some leadership skills, leadership questions, leadership things taking place over the next few weeks. Hey, have a good weekend. This is Friday, so if you're watching the replay, well, remember, you just had a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon, and thank you.